All right, you guys, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go over every single thing I have in my setup here, but we are going to go ahead and go over a couple details. So obviously on top of the main computer, I have a couple different little trinkets. I have a Captain America bobblehead right here, as well as a little lightsaber hilt. This is Anakin's from Revenge of the Sith. It's a different type of version, so I took it apart and put a new LED in there, so it doesn't fully light up anymore, but it's still pretty fucking bright. So that's awesome. The other thing I have is a class ring from high school. I have a little tiny Minecraft guy up there with a bow, Minecraft skeleton with a pumpkin on his head, and I have a Fallout little Funko Pop. It's not a bobblehead, unfortunately, but that's all right. On the rest of the desk, I have a picture of my friend group back there. I have a microfiber. This is actually to clean the desk, and because it's glass, it can be sometimes a little bit of a pain in the ass. Didn't mean to make that rhyme, but it works. I have a webcam here that points towards this thing that just lives in my apartment and lives rent-free. Kirk. Hey, handsome boy. And then I have a little air purifier. Living in a small apartment, especially with a dog, an air purifier is it's fucking incredible. It's honestly needed. It should be, I think it's just on the second setting, so I can feel it running right now. It's got a HEPA filter in here, pulls everything in, clears it up a little bit, pops it out. It's pretty great. I feel like I've had a fairly significant improvement with it after I got it, so only like $50 on Amazon. I figured it'd be worth it. And then we'll just go ahead and jump right in. So this is the main computer. This is the beast that I've had that's just been upgraded and just smacked with upgrades and changes so many times over the years. And you guys have seen, if you guys are long-time subs of my YouTube channel, my PCs have just gone through several iterations. But this is the most recent, and I think this is probably honestly in its best form. So we'll go over the specs. First off, everything is being housed inside of a Lian Li 011 Dynamic. It is a white case with a silver front, all glass, or glass on the side panel, glass on the front panel as well. Housed inside is an Asus Z590E Strix motherboard, holding a 10700K, which is a 10th gen Intel CPU at 4.8 gigahertz currently. We're running 32 gigs of Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro RAM. I think that's running at 3600 with XMP. We have a shit ton of storage in here, but we'll get into that in a second because it's a little bit of a mess. Cooling the CPU is a
Corsair 360mm RGB Pro XT.
This is one of their relatively newer ones. I've had a couple different coolers over the years, but I got this one a while back because I noticed that the previous one was also I think it was a 280 mil. This is a 360 mil. The other one had a pretty substantial gap in between where the actual fan and the fins are, which I thought was resulting in substantially less cooling performance. I could be wrong, but it seemed like there was still some air escaping, and I just kind of wanted to take care of that, considering I knew we were getting a hotter CPU, something a little bit more warm than an 8700K, obviously more cores, obviously faster speed, etc. I wanted something that would just be able to hold the headroom a little bit more, so that's what we got. The latest upgrade in the PC is an RTX 3070 Strix. Absolutely fucking sexy card. Absolute tank. Does a great fucking job. I don't think the fans are running currently. They are running currently. All right, so screw me, I guess. Usually, obviously, it's going to run very cool most of the time, and I don't have any fan curve set, so it's going to run automatically. Essentially, if something regarding hardware acceleration is open, the fans might kick up, but it's not warm at all. Right now, I can see it's at 36 degrees Celsius, and I'll show you how I'm seeing that in just a minute. We have a Corsair RM850X power supply in here, powering everything, of course. And we have a total of 9 fans in the PC. So we have 3 down here. These are all white. 3 over here. These are all white as well. And then 3 RGB static pressure fans up top on the radiator. For the storage in this machine, it's a little bit of a funny story because it's gone through, again, so many iterations, but that's just how it is. The top slot is not being used because the 10700K is a 10th gen CPU, and that slot is only available with an 11th gen Intel. So, in the future, if I decide to upgrade to an 11th gen CPU, that slot will become available, and then I can pop another NVMe in there because there are 4 NVMe slots on this motherboard. That one's unused. I'll go ahead and go lower real quick. There are 2 right down here. Those are both my 1 terabyte drives from, from Crucial. That's the one, from Crucial. And then right underneath the GPU, I believe right under this area, is our main 500 gigabyte Western Digital NVMe, which is our boot drive. So we have 500 gigs of, 2,500 gigs total of NVMe storage, as well as another 6 terabytes of hard drive storage. Now I'll go into that because that's a weird story, but both hard drives are located back here in the 011 Dynamic. One is a 2 terabyte. It is essentially reserved for program downloads or miscellaneous program downloads, Chrome downloads, etc. Everything's copied off there. That's a 2 terabyte drive. And then our main media drive that will host this, my movies, my music, my Twitch videos, my YouTube videos, etc. That is a 4 terabyte hard drive. So those ones aren't as important to me. Obviously, games I want to be on my NVMe because I want to load them up quick. I want to get into my games quick and so on and so forth. So absolutely incredible PC. Does a great job. It's not running too hot right now. I can feel some warm air coming through, but I have some applications open and I'm getting ready to edit this. So Premiere Pro is also open and that's kind of on standby at the moment, but we'll go ahead and move on. Before we get into the rest of the peripherals, the speakers I've never really worried about all that much. These are the Logitech Z506. It is normally a surround sound system. So I have one here, one right there in the middle, and one here behind my work computer. There are 2 additional ones, so there's a rear left and a rear right, but I don't feel like I need to set those up in my apartment, considering I don't really have that much room on my desk. I don't want to necessarily have to route it all the way somewhere else and have them kind of feel off. And most of the times, I'm sitting here at my desk anyway. I'm going to have my headphones on. It doesn't really matter all that so much to me. Still great speakers. I still have a subwoofer down here on the floor. Don't mind the cable management. We're not going to talk about that. But I'm not too worried otherwise. So for my headphones, when I am sitting at my computer, though, we're going to have some B-roll. These are the DT990 Pros, the 80 ohm version by Beyerdynamic. They are absolutely fucking incredible. I don't remember, I think there was about $160 off of Mass Drop, I believe. Incredible pair of headphones that is, I decided to go for just the 80 ohm version, only for the reason that the product that I use to push out my audio cannot actually push 250 ohms, because 250 ohms is the other version of the 990 Pros, unless you had an additional piece of hardware. So I didn't want to go that route. The 80 ohm version was just fine, and the 250 ohms cost a bit more, so I wasn't too worried. Let's go ahead and get into the monitor setup. First off, we have 3 screens. This is a triple monitor setup. The number one thing, obviously, we have a triple arm monitor mount right behind us. Most of the cables are routed from the PC over to these plastic clips right here, and then they are cable tied and go in between the monitors, obviously, because we have a power, we have a signal cable for that, power signal cable, and this also has a USB hub, so there are a couple USB USB devices plugged into the monitor that are then plugged into the PC from that cable. So it's a bit of a mess back there, but that's all right. The secondary monitor I have is an HP VH240A. I have 2 of them here and here. They are they are 1080p panels, but they are IPS, so they're very good quality. They're still 60 hertz, although that's not a game breaker for me. In this particular situation, I only use them for monitoring applications, Discord, and sometimes like Chrome and watching movies. But most of the time, I'm gonna have something open on my central monitor. My second monitor here can also be switched and toggled to another output for my work computer, which is here, via that little handy HP DisplayPort dock, or rather. So that's super handy, but that's my other work monitor as well. VH240A, great monitor, IPS, still great quality, still 60 hertz, but that's fine because my main gaming monitor is an HP Omen 25-inch. Now it's only 1080p, but it's still 144 hertz. It's still got a 1 millisecond gray-to-gray response time, and that's essentially the only thing that matters to me is the 144 hertz, 1 millisecond response time. Maybe sometime in the future, sometime perhaps soon, I'm not sure, we'll upgrade to something 144, 1440p, but at the moment, that's not incredibly important to me. Again, Discord is open. You guys can all join my Discord server at discord.gg/Talos, like Talos, spelled right up there. You will need to go into a channel called Are You Worthy, essentially in order to agree to the rules before you can actually chat in the channels, but I'm basically always in there. The other application I have open is called Nzxtcam. This is how I basically take a record and keep track of all my monitors and software, my network, so on and so forth, my RAM usage, for example. My RAM is a little bit high because I got a couple applications open, Premiere Pro to edit this, etc. My storage is all monitored here. My processors are monitored, GPU speed, fan usage, and clock speed, as well as my CPU temperature, clock speed, and fan. I believe the fan usage, I believe that's regarding all three of these. So it should be 1, 2, 3, and I believe that's the total fan RPM, but I'm not 100% sure about that because the headers are a little weird. And I have multiple different devices. So I have a Corsair Node, and then I have a Corsair Commander Pro as well that's controlling all the fans, and then there's an RGB strip that goes all the way up here and all the way up here that is currently breathing a blue color. So, or rather, yeah, it is breathing a blue color, and then the rest pulses blue and white because I like the blue and white theme. So yeah, main monitor, again, great. I'll probably get a new one relatively soon. Let's go ahead and hop on to the peripherals. First off, I have a Corsair MM, I believe this is a 300 desk pad. Super, super nice. Realizing that I was going to be in an L-shaped desk situation, I knew that I was going to want something that would essentially cover the middle crease and basically give me an even playing field, literally, so to speak, kind of all the way across. So a couple different things. In the B-roll, you guys are going to see actually a different mouse. Now, we upgraded to the Corsair Saber Pro Rgb. Now, there's a couple different reasons. One reason, I guess the primary reason, is that the M65, for whatever happened to it, I essentially lost the ability to click. So if I wanted to drag across my screen just like this, I would not get responses. My right click would work just fine, but my left click would stop responding in games, and I feel like would actually have to really click the button to get it through, and I don't want to have to do that in fear of damaging the mouse. I took it apart multiple times, tried to see if I could clean it out, figure out what the hell was wrong with it, and I could never do it. I just never figured out what the problem was. So here we are with a Corsair Saber, super light mouse, super light compared to the M65, because the M65 actually had 3 weights in it, or 2 weights in the bottom that you could adjust or take out depending on how you wanted the mouse to feel. That was usually okay for me, but not being able to click or fire in games or just generally click into windows was getting really irritating, so that needed to be swapped out, but not a big deal. The keyboard is the Corsair K70 Rapid Fire with MX speed switches. This is probably the second iteration of this keyboard that I think I've had. I do need to take it all apart and clean it out. I need to get more pressurized air or actually get in between those keys. But great fucking keyboard. Literally zero problems with it whatsoever. It's obviously got a different tramp stamp up here on the top, so to speak. It actually says Corsair. Yeah, it's very dusty. It actually says Corsair and not the weird previous logo that their other Corsair keyboards had. Very, very odd, when they went to the other one that looked like wings, it was literally a Corsair tramp stamp. But I'm not a Corsair hater, obviously, by any means. I have a shit ton of Corsair products: mouse, keyboard, desk pad, RAM, cooler, fans. I love Corsair. Corsair's a great company. They're awesome. Anytime I've worked with their support, it's been pretty flawless, so I don't have complaints about them. Back further on the desk, I have the power adapter for this monitor and then the power adapter there for this monitor, just to make it a little easier for cable management. I'm not going to go over the mess of cables back there because they do need to be changed soon, but there's only so much I can do, especially with a glass desk. The one thing that kind of does bother me is the power cable for the Go XLR, which kind of just hangs on the floor back there, unfortunately, but that's fine. We'll work on that relatively soon anyway. So. Further on the desk, we have a temperature monitor, basically just to check the temperature in the apartment, essentially whenever I'd like to. I can go obviously turn on the AC, cool it down a little bit. I have an AC vent literally right above me, so it's not hard to cool down at all if I need to. I have a little tiny box that says Lord of the Rings. This is a tungsten carbide version of the One Ring. It doesn't normally hold that. That I just got from Amazon, and actually holds this ring normally, which is Aragorn's ring. So that's a nerd shit. I'm just gonna go ahead and skip it. I'm actually gonna pull up my chair for a second, which we'll get to later. The next piece of equipment I have on my desk, obviously, is the Elgato Stream Deck. Now, some of the icons just changed because of a software update, so I do have to get that fixed, but that's not a huge issue. If you guys are streaming and you don't have a Stream Deck, you guys might want to get on it as soon as possible, just because you can save yourself a lot of time and a lot of hassle of setting up macros on your computer to, set up scenes and sources and shit like that. It's so much easier with something that will do it with buttons, literally one tap. And you can either get this one or you can get the full-size one. For me personally, I have multiple different folders, so I have basically all my stream things here. RAID commands. I have one main button that literally launches OBS and Chatty and a couple different applications at the same time, so I'm ready to stream right then and right there. I have a button that switches my audio outputs from my speakers to my headphones on the Go XLR, which is incredible, and I'm just ready to go right then and there. And then I got some more. So we have another page of more stuff. These are all commands in chat. Some of them regarding merch, YouTube, Discord, podcast, love, a hype, an ad break, a clip or a marker, etc. And then the very next one are just more sources on OBS or even more music playlists that I can just switch on Spotify on the go, and it's fucking incredible. So Stream Deck, amazing tool. Literally, I could not stream without it. I legitimately don't think I could. The next best thing on this desk, I think probably the most important thing on this desk, is the Go XLR. Now, it's a little bit dirty and a little bit dusty, but I'm gonna have some B-roll playing. This tool is fucking incredible. This is probably the most, I don't know if it's the most necessarily expensive piece of equipment I have on my desk specifically, but I think it might be. And it's worth it in every way, in every penny. The application usually doesn't give me too many issues, but the fact that I can literally hit one of these buttons to mute the output, or mute this to stream, for example, specifically, or mute my mic entirely, or bleep myself, or use a sampler pad and play something through the mic towards my chatters, in-game, or play something just generally in Discord. I can do that too. That's incredible. I can change my voice. I can sound like Yzma from the fucking Emperor's New Groove. Literally, number one in my Go XLR profile is called Yzma, because that's exactly what it sounds like.
Is that my voice? Is that my voice? Oh well.
Then the other buttons, I can make it sound like I'm speaking through a megaphone. I can sound like a robot. I can auto-tune myself. And then obviously the FX button is just general on or off. So in this case, if I was talking through Discord or game, I would sound like Yzma. If I turned it off, I would no longer sound like Yzma, and I would sound totally normal. I have a bleep button. Again, I have the mute button, so I can mute. And these are all changeable. I could change this button to literally just mute myself to one specific application, or mute myself to stream and not to Discord, or so on and so forth. But In this case, it is set to currently mute everything, so to stream and to Discord, so my mic essentially turns off. The Go XLR is incredible, absolutely incredible tool. It is sitting on a 3D printed Go XLR stand that I had a buddy actually print out for me, just because it makes it a little bit easier to access. Instead of necessarily being flat on the table, and it does have rubber feet on the bottom, it makes it a little bit harder to access when it's laying flat, so this is kind of easier to see and to, you know, grab the controls and actually hit the buttons with. So super, super nice. Very, very, very last thing, that's my work laptop, work laptop mouse, just a tiny little thing, not important. The very last part of the setup that's actually incredibly important is the microphone. And we are currently running, since about March of last year, the Go XLR and a Shure MV7. Now the MV7 is a USB and Go XLR, XLR compatible microphone that you can obviously plug your headphones into if you wanted. Now I'm not sure why, get it? I'm not sure why they decided to go with a micro USB as the input on the back, but when you are not using XLR, or if you can't use XLR, you can plug your micro USB in right there. It does come with a micro USB cable that's included. And then you will have these handy little buttons and lights right up here on the top that will actually allow you to essentially mix your audio, at least in some way, shape, or form, with another piece of Elgato software. Shure software. I'm thinking of Elgato's Wave mics. And then obviously, when you have your XLR plugged in, that is no longer an option. Those lights do not turn on because it's not running on essentially any external power at that point. It's just connected to the Go XLR itself. So great fucking microphone. It looks like I might have to tighten those up a little bit. The only thing that I did to change it is I'm currently using the RK45. I believe that's the one. RK45 pop filter, which is actually the one for the Shure SM7B. The one for the MV7 that came stock was very short. It was probably about there, and it did not seem like it did a very good job at really kind of hammering down the S's and the F and the P sound. So I went ahead and swapped that out basically before I got it, and here we are. So again, great fucking microphone, sounds phenomenal on both USB and XLR, I might add. And then the last thing is it's sitting on a newer boom arm. Not a phenomenal boom arm, I will say that much, unfortunately. I will probably get a new one relatively soon, because this one can squeak a little bit, and it's not very strong either, which is fine. It's a boom arm, it's not all that important, but I would like one that's, that operates a little bit smoother. So I'll probably get one of those very soon. But the mic is obviously very important, and that is essentially the last part of our setup, besides one more thing. Now I will give a disclaimer for this one other item, because it is dirty. And unfortunately, there's only so much you can do. Oh, before I forget, I have a little tiny Athena's Fortune gold-plated thing up here from Sea of Thieves, because Sea of Thieves is one of my favorite games of all time. It might be in a rough spot now, but literally one of my favorite games of all time. This is one of 2018 ever made, and that's fucking incredible to me. So we'll go ahead and skip. If my camera could focus, the very last thing we have in our arsenal for this setup, chat, is of course the main source of comfort, and that is the chair. Unfortunately, the chair has a lot of dog hair on it, and I'm gonna actually reach out to Secret Lab and see what I can do to maybe clean it up a little bit more than I have. A vacuum does sort of work. A lint roller does sort of work, but either way, super comfy chair. Literally having dog hair on it does not change the fact that I could fall asleep in this at any fucking given moment. I could obviously remove the pillow if I wanted. It has built-in lumbar support with this handy knob right back here, and it's just overall generally fucking comfy. It's the Secret Lab Titan 2020 edition. This is the soft weave in, I think it's called charcoal blue. Absolutely incredible chair. Absolutely incredible. It's so comfy, and again, dog hair, and I'm gonna reach out to them and see what I can do about that. But again, that does not take away from the fact that it's an amazing chair, because I had another Secret Lab one before this, and it was not phenomenal, and it started to wear out very quickly, unfortunately. But there we are. that is the Twitch setup for 2022, you guys. I know it's been a while since I've actually put up one of these videos, but that's the last one we're going to have for now. Unless we have any further updates, maybe at the end of this year going into 2023. I think that's about it. So, as usual, I appreciate you guys' support recently, especially with changing games and kind of doing a little bit more variety things instead of just playing Sea of Thieves. As usual, if you guys want to find me more or watch me or catch me live, you guys can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/the9thdivine. We'll have some more episodes for the Divine Interventions podcast soon, if podcasts are your thing. Any alerts for those will go up in the Discord. And I might have some polls recently to see what you guys want me to talk about and kind of go over in those episodes too. So other than that, thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you would like to. And we will see you in the next one. And we'll see you on Twitch. And I believe the next time we'll see you is Wednesday of this week. So we'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your week. I love your faces.